Much like you can nest if statements, you can also nest loops. You can place a while loop within a while loop, a for loop within a for loop, or a while loop within a for loop, or any combination of those. When loops are nested, they contain an inner loop and an outer loop. The inner loop must be completely contained inside the outer loop, and they cannot overlap. When you use a loop within a loop, you should always think of the outer loop as the all-encompassing loop. The outer loop variable, the loop control variable, changes less frequently than the inner loop control variable. In our program here, this outer loop contains a loop control variable R, and it is going to control how many rows will be printed in our diagram. I've also added a print line here so that you can see the value that's inside of R as we run our program. Now inside of our loop we have another loop, and this one's going to control the columns listed across, and we've simply printed out the value that's in C so that you can see what the number is. The program will flow so that it comes in here to our outer loop and start with R at 0. It will then perform our check, and we'll come down in here, print out R. Then we come here to our next for loop and we create a new variable called C, and C will run until it runs into the number of columns. Each time through, we will print out the value in C, and then we'll increase C and we'll do the check again. So this inner loop is going to run for 10 times before its condition becomes false and it exits out. Now once it exits out, it'll come down here and it'll print us a line break so that we can put our next outer loop variable on a new line. At this point, the first iteration of the outer loop is complete. So we'll come back up here and increase R, and R will be equal to 1 now. It will perform the check again and it'll be good. So it'll print out 1 for R with a colon, and then we'll come down to our inner loop again. The compiler treats this like this is the first time that it's seen this loop. So it will create another variable for C, set it equal to 0, and it will run until C equals the value in the number of columns variable, which is 10. So it'll come down here, print out C again, increase C by 1, and continue running this inner loop until it reaches the condition, and then it will exit out, print a line break, and we jump back up here to our outer loop again. So you can see our inner loop is going to be run each time through for our outer variables. Let's take a look and see what this code run looks like. Here on the left-hand side are my outer loop control variables, and then the bulk of here is the inner loop control variable. Now I can also nest if statements in here too. This if statement will find out if C is divisible by 2, and if it has a remainder of 0, that means it's an even number, and it will print out the value inside of C. If C has a remainder of 1, that means it's an odd variable, and it won't print it out this time. So our loop will still run 10 times, it will just change our output for C. Again, I can see here my 10 rows for my R variable, and then each time through it took my C to find out if there was a remainder of 0, and if there was, it printed it out. After it finished running through all those variables, the values in C, it printed a blank line and then came back up here and increased R. We could also modify it a little bit so that if C is an even number, we can have it print out the number, but if it's something else, we can have it print out a symbol instead. So now all my even numbers will print the value, and if it's an odd number, it will print a star in place. The key takeaway for our nested loops is that our outer loop will run less times than our inner loop, and our inner loop will completely run through each iteration for the range before our outer loop variable is increased and the check happens and the outer loop performs again.